Hello everyone, my name is Pat. Welcome to my channel. Today I'll be talking about all of the books that I loved in the first quarter of this year. And this is pretty late because we're already well into the second quarter, but you know, better late than never. I've always wanted to do quarterly wrap-ups on my channel because I feel like that's something that I need to do because I read quite a lot of books, and at the end of the year I'm always like scrambling to make a comprehensive but also not too long list of my favorite books. So these are the ones that I loved for the first quarter of the year. So this is from January to March. So we're gonna first start with my January favorites. The first one are the second and the third books in the Poppy War trilogy, and I read the Poppy War in 2021. Like, I think it's one of the last books that I read for the year. I wasn't able to finish these two before the year ended, so I'm including it here. I don't really think I need to say a lot about this series. Very well known, very well loved. The thing about this that I really connected with, Sino-Japanese War, where there is an influence of the Western as well, told in the Eastern perspective versus the Western perspective, because the world history that I know, it has a very Western view of things, looking back on it. And I know this is not a history book, obviously, but this has very strong historical ties that I really appreciated seeing it from our perspective, even though, you know, I'm not Japanese or Chinese. Being in the Eastern perspective where the Western is meddling or affecting a lot of very large historical events as well. So I love characters that are very flawed, that it's not a hero book, it's an anti-hero book. That's how Rin is described, and I love that. And I know some people didn't like Rin, and I understand why, but at the same time, to me, it's in a way much more realistic to have her have this kind of arc versus a very moral, or at least a lawful kind of character. I loved following her character because it makes sense with the things that she's going through, with the things that, you know, her friends are going through, the things that she has had to do, she has had to make choices about, especially with the, you know, the background that she has, the own experiences that she has. It makes sense, and I love that about her, and I love her as a character. And you know, it's hard to read it, you know, it's hard to read this book with everything that they experience, but that made me love them a bit more. I became so much protective of these characters. And then I have Twisted Hate by Anna Huang. This one I read the arc of, and I was part of like the cover reveals of it on Instagram. The books in this series just keep getting better and better and better and better, and I'm so excited for Twisted Lies. I was definitely taken aback because this is an enemies, or like, you know, enemies to lovers, enemies to friends with benefits to lovers, also best friend's brother trope. So there's a lot of like dislike about them, and there's quite a few like very intense hate sex in here, and the chemistry between these two characters right from the start, with them, you know, getting on each other's nerves and insulting each other, I was just like, this is gonna be so good, and it was so right. I wasn't a big fan of how the main kind of conflict went down. I felt like it could have gone a little bit different, but I still really enjoy this one. Like, overall, it's just the chemistry, these two characters separately and together, it's like fireworks, you know? I loved it so much. Okay, I had to pause for a little bit, so if the camera angle changed or whatever, that's why. Okay, next one, the last one for the books that I read for January. I have 2 copies of this book, A River Enchanted. Now, River Enchanted was actually the February book, and I read this in January because I received an arc of it, and I skipped the February Illumi crate, and I regretted that. So thankfully I was able to find, I think I found this in March, a better price for the entire box that A River Enchanted is included in, and I also bought the UK paperback edition of this book. Look at it, it's so pretty. Like, I needed to own it. The first book in a duology, fantasy duology, and this is Scottish inspired, and I love the whimsy of it. The writing is beautiful, lyrical. I love the characters because of just the relationships in this story. I feel like we're really very well written. There's a lot of quiet moments between the characters that I love. There's not a lot of things that they're saying, but it's very evident in their actions, in the way they look at each other, the way they think about each other, because this is multi-perspective as well. It's third person, but following from like third person perspective from this person's perspective, you know? So we kind of see, you know, what's going on in their heads as they interact with these people, and just the way that they regard the people, just the relationship. It's not even the romantic relationships, really. It's also family and community, and I enjoy this so much. The magic is so transportive. It's very whimsical, it's very atmospheric, and I just love that. I love like feeling like I'm in this world, like I'm really with these characters, experiencing it the way they are. And just, it's so good. I can't wait for the next book. I loved it. so much, River Enchanted. And I don't really hear a lot of people talking about it. Maybe because it's a very recent release, but again, it's like one of those lyrical atmospheric books I love. And the characters are amazing, and I was crying, okay, at the end of this book with the way it ended. That's why I need the next book. So now we're gonna move on to my February favorites. The first one that I have, I actually also received an art for this one, Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma. So I did pre-order this one. Another adult romance that is enemies, or like, you know, dislike to kind of with benefits, fake dating, fake engagement to lovers. The main character started off as really hitting it off. It's kind of like a failed one-night stand type thing. They were really getting along, you know, when they first met. They met again, and that's when the enemies part, the dislike part started, and they are also opposites attract. So he doesn't believe in love, or that love is very sustainable, and she's hopeless romantic. So it's a lot of things that just sparks between the two characters, the family aspect of it as well. And I'm very excited to get to the rest of the series because we're following the friends that they have, and I cannot wait to see it because we've already seen glimpses of it. And just these two, okay, I love them so much, and they just worked so good, so well with each other. And then next one is Mexican Gothic by Silvia Moreno Garcia. I read a lot of her books, I think 5 of her books in February, and this is my favorite read of all of them. This is another one that is creepy, lyrical, beautiful written, atmospheric. It takes you to this world, and just that like feeling of knowing that there's something that you don't know. There's an undertone. There's something that's being kept from you, and you know that, but you can't figure it out. And there's a lot of like creepy, weird things that are happening that you can't fully explain. You know that the thing that's been hidden from you is the reason for these things that are happening. It's so good. It's, again, transportive. It took me to that place, and I was just like, so good, so good. That's why I can't wait for her newest release, Daughter of Dr. Moreau. The cover itself alone is just like, it's calling to me, and I feel like I'm going to love it if it's going to be very similar to Mexican Gothic, but we'll see. The next one is a YA, contemporary YA literary fiction, All My Rage by Sabaa Tahir. I received an art for this one as well from Penguin Teen. I'm kind of sad that I didn't order the signed copy of this one, but next time on Sabaa's next release, I will definitely get a signed copy somehow, somewhere of her book. The first book that I read from her is An Ember and Ashes Quartet, which is a fantasy, YA fantasy, and this is completely different from that. But this was a difficult book to read because it has very heavy themes, but it's a beautiful story of friendship, of family, of forgiveness, of love, and I love this one so much. And it's a very important read for everyone, I feel like, because it gives you a perspective on the things that people of color experience. For this one specifically, Pakistani people in America experience, and it just it makes you feel a lot of rage too. But I love these two characters. I fell for them. I just want them to be happy and to have the happiness because they deserve it. They deserve happiness. They deserve all the love and happiness in the world. I love them so much. Their story, their family story, their friends, just all my rage. Beautiful, emotional, but beautiful. Okay, now we're gonna get into March. I have quite a few for this one. The first one is an arc, You Are More Than Magic by Minda Harts. This is a YA nonfiction written for POC girls. This is more of a self-help kind of guide for girls to find their own voice. It teaches you about, self-advocacy, boundaries, friendships, the importance of friendship, the importance of family, the importance of communication, and how you can stand up for yourself, how you can advocate for yourself. I feel like it's a very important read for girls who are their early teens, and even I as an adult, I feel like if I had read this when I was younger, I would have gotten so much more from this one. I feel like found a lot of comfort reading this one. So that one, and then I also have another nonfiction, Crying in H Mart by Michelle Zauner. I feel like a lot of people have heard about this. A lot of people have talked about this one. We're following Michelle Zauner as she struggles with her mother getting cancer, losing her mother, and so it's like getting over grief, being a caretaker, about family as well, friendships, community, and the way that she connected with her mom, because her mom is Korean, her dad is white, and the way that their bond is very heavily influenced with food, Korean food. And so when she takes care of her mother, food becomes like a very important aspect of taking care of her mother, and also her dealing with grief. And it's not a very easy book to read, but I feel like it really shows like the ties, family ties, and the way that there could be like generational differences and also cultural differences growing up as a mixed person, also belonging, that connection with that part of your identity. So, and then another very difficult book to read, Human Acts by Han Kang. in March, I did the readathon, and this is one of my favorite reads from that. This is a literary / cultural heritage / psychological fiction, and this is mainly following characters who have experiences during the time of the Gwangju uprising, and it spans from that time to close to present day, where the repercussions of that very violent uprising is still felt to this day, and you know, the effects of that to the people that experience this, to the people that have family that were directly affected by this. Important book to read. Emotional, because it shows you the different kind of perspectives of that, because there is the people who have children who were directly part of this uprising, people who have very good friends, siblings, close family, close friends, and you know, just the way that this event changed their lives. So, very important book to read. Not easy, but very important. And then another one that I read during the readathon is The Red Palace by 𝐁𝐸. This is 𝐁𝐸's third novel. This is my favorite so far of the 3 novels that she has released. I've read all 3 of it so far. I've read all 3 of them. And this is set in the Joseon era, so this is historical fiction, historical mystery thriller. We are following a main character who is a palace nurse, and she gets embroiled in this murder investigation that also involves the crown prince, and so there's a lot of political stuff going on as well, and danger in every corner for this main character, and the atmosphere is amazing. I love the reveal of the mystery, because there's always like a certain layer that's being uncovered that adds more complications to the actual murder itself. I just love this one. I was just like hooked. I was like in that story with them. I love this. Really enjoyed it. And then I also have A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. This one is also very highly hyped, highly talked about, and very well loved by a lot of people. It's a very short book. This is following the concubines of Dracula, particularly Constanta, and it spans centuries. So we're following Constanta as she's saved by this Dracula person, by this vampire, and how her life has changed from then, and how the relationship she has with Dracula has changed over the years, and the way that, because in the beginning of this book it's already mentioned that she murdered Dracula, and we see, you know, just the way that their relationship has been throughout the century, and how that started off with her viewing Dracula as like kind of a father figure but also a lover, and that how that has changed throughout the years with her getting to know more about Dracula and the things that he does. And it's toxic relationship too, and just, oh, it was so well done. It's written in second person perspective, because it's kind of like Constanta addressing Dracula in this. So beautifully written. I love this one so much. And then the last one that I have is an adult romance, 7 Days in June by Taylor Williams. So many people talk about this one and said that they love this one so much, and I'm one of them. I'm one of them now. I'm loath to call this a romance, because to me this is a love story. It's a love story between 2 authors who met and got to know each other over the course of just 7 days when they were very young, and it's them meeting again as adults, and they've been writing about each other for years. Like, their main characters are based on each other. It's them kind of figuring out if their love is born from the things that they were going through as children during that time. They just found comfort in each other, if it is something, you know, forever thing. And it's just them navigating that, and the ways that they've changed throughout the years from then on, and what really happened during that time. There's a lot of trigger warnings for this one, so please check it. There's a lot of child abuse, child neglect, drug use, drug abuse. So be very wary of that. Again, check the trigger warnings for this one, specifically for this one, because especially because it's happening to them as children. Like, they weren't even 18 when they were experiencing these things when they met. So I really love this one so much. It's a love story. It's between these 2 characters who've gone through so much, who've found in a way their own happiness, but also there's something missing, and they have this connection, and it's like, is it a connection because all the traumatizing things that they were going through at the time? Is it a connection just because of who they are innately as people? And is it something that they can have with each other at this point in time and further with everything that has happened since then? So yeah, I love this one very much. So those are all the books that I loved so far this year, and I have, how many? If I'm going to count Burning God and Dragon Republic as one, I'm gonna have 12 so far. And usually people do like top 10. There's already 12 on here. Haha. We'll see. But also I want to include it with Dragon Republic, The Drowning Faith, which is a novella. It's like a 15-page novella where we follow Nessa's perspective in the first, second, and the start of the third book. Like I said, for this video, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what your favorite books of this year so far, and if you agree or disagree with some of the things that I have, and if you think I should include anything else to this list that I've read that you know that I've read. But yes, that is it for this video. I will see you on my next one.